I went to the Australian Yarn Show, so if you missed it this year or didn't even know that it was a thing, don't worry besties, I've got you covered. I'm going to give you the complete tea of the entire event. Hey, I'm Emma, your crochet bestie, and usually I talk all things crochet, yarn, and Australian crafting events. And today we're recapping the Australian Yarn Show 2026. So the event is in its third year and was held at Hotel Realm in Canberra. March 7th and 8th were the community days, with Friday the 6th as an industry only day. As I am not in the industry, I only went on the Saturday and Sunday, and the event started at 9 AM and finished at 5 on both days. Getting there was relatively easy. I drove down with my friend from Sydney on the Friday. And if you're doing that, I highly recommend a stop in Bowral at Castle Handmade. It is a lovely little yarn store. I got some yarn for amigurumis there, as well as some much needed smaller darning needles. Castle Handmade is inside a tiny little arcade, and it's a great spot to stop, stretch your legs. There's a clean bathroom there, which I know if you're on a road trip, that is like a must. And across the road from there is also the Gumnut Bakery, which has some really good pastries. Definitely a good spot to stop on your way down. Also, this is kind of a big deal to me, but there was so much water in Lake George. I was amazed. Growing up in the Millennium Drought, I was so used to it always being empty, and that's just kind of how I'm used to seeing it, but golly, this was amazing. And if you are driving, there is actually a lot of street parking around, so you don't really have to worry too much about if you're going to find a park. But I would also recommend, if you can, stay in one of the hotels around. There is the Hotel Realm where it's at. There is also the Burberry Apartments, which are quite nice. I stayed there with my friend. And then across the road from that is also Hotel Brasserie, I think. Anyway, they're relatively quite close together, and it's only a very short walk to the Hotel Realm, and it's pretty much flat, so it's not a hard walk either. Ticketing prices for this event was actually very affordable. It's probably one of the cheapest crafting events like this that I've been to. The weekend pass was only $35 for an adult. Let that sink in. $35 for an adult. Crazy. But they also have an option that you can just do one day, which is between $20 to $25, with Sunday being the cheapest day. Also, kids under 15 were free. All tickets included a coffee voucher, access to all the guest speakers, activities, and demonstrations, access to the market hall, which is where all the shopping was, and access to the community space. There was also an option to get the VIP ticket, which was $60 for the weekend, which also got you priority entry for both days, although I'm not really sure if that was needed. I didn't see anyone needing it, but I could be wrong. A curated show bag and digital access to the main stage events after the show, which would actually come in handy if you were doing workshops. There were also workshops, but I personally was not early enough to this situation to get any workshops booked. Although I did see the workshop space and it looked pretty comfy and well lit. If you did a workshop, please let me know all of the tea. How was it? Was the space comfy? Yeah, I'm super interested because I feel like I might book one for next year. So the workshops were super popular. So if that is something that like you want to do, you're gonna have to keep an eye on the website, and as soon as they pop up, book it, bestie. There was also a good array of workshops as well. There was knitting, crochet, as well as spinning. I know, a yarn show that also includes spinning, that's amazing. One thing I did note was that most of the workshops did want you to bring your own yarn and notions, and they were all around $200-ish each. But if you did book a workshop, it also included a $60 VIP ticket. So like you wouldn't have to buy that on top of the workshop. While I was there, people were telling me that there was a really popular knitting workshop as well that they managed to extend to the Monday to let more people off the wait list to do. And I thought that was actually pretty cool of the organizers, as well as the facilitator, to extend it so that other people could have the opportunity to do that workshop. Usually for other crafting events, when the workshop is full, like that's it. Registration for this event was at the top of a set of stairs, and I have to say it wasn't immediately obvious where the line was. It wrapped around on level 1 a bit, and it was super busy on the Saturday, which was day 1. I think we ended up standing in line for about 20 minutes or so, but like the line was moving. Because of this, I actually think that it might have been a better option to start the main stage events a little bit later in the morning, like say at 11 o'clock, just so that people had more time to collect their wristbands before the main stage started. So a way to maybe alleviate this as well, if you kind of want to keep the events earlier in the day, would be to either like mail out the wristbands or even open registration the day before on the Friday from like, I don't know, 4 to 8. Onto the main stage. The area that they had for this event, it kind of was giving wedding vibes. It was kind of like an outdoor-indoor courtyard situation. I mean, it was really pretty. That's why it kind of gave that wedding vibe, but I don't necessarily think that it was actually a good space for the talks. And I'll explain a little bit more as to why that is. It was on the ground floor of the hotel, which was great, but you had to walk through a room of market stalls and sort of the Spinners Guild and the Knitting Guild before you got into the space where the main stage was set up. The noise from that mini market area was distracting once you were sitting inside of the main stage area trying to listen to a talk. And trying to navigate through people browsing was also not the easiest thing to do. One of the other reasons that it was kind of giving more like a wedding vibe was that they had a TV for slide decks for the speakers. And from the right side of the seating, you couldn't see the TV that well at all. And like as the day went on, it definitely felt like the TV and slide situation was kind of abandoned. For example, there was a color theory chat, but it did not have a slide deck or really any visuals, which was kind of a shame because the person was obviously very knowledgeable and extremely passionate about the topic, but it kind of just fell flat without the visuals. And I'm just assuming it was because like the screen wasn't working properly that happened. I think microphones also kind of became an issue for some of the panelists. I think some may have just needed a quick 5 or 10 minute chat before the event started, just to be reminded of like where to hold the microphone. They were definitely ones that you hold kind of like here and not here, but people were calling out like, we can't hear you, please move it close up, to varying degrees of success. Some would remember that they had a microphone and move it a bit closer, but others just kind of carried on. I also think a microphone for questions would have been super handy as well, but I understand like that would then involve someone else running the microphone out. The community space. I am still not sure where that is. Now, I am not entirely sure if this is the space, but if you know, feel free to correct me in the comments. There was a smaller space behind the main stage where people were crafting, and the doors were open the entire time, kind of with the TV wedged somewhere in between there. So the noise from what I think is a community space was kind of like bleeding through as well into the main stage area. So you had the market stalls from behind and the community crafting space from in front. The doors to the main stage were open the entire weekend, so the sound from that area did carry through and you could hear it while you were trying to listen to talks or panelists in the main stage area. Both my friend and I were confused if that was actually the community space though, or whether it was like a green room sort of situation for maybe the people who were working in the market hall or doing the talks, just to have like a space that they could chill out. It did look really beautiful and it was giving the wedding vibe, okay? It was just giving wedding vibes. Even though like that space was kind of unclear, there was like a lot of people hanging out in the lobby crafting and chatting. So I don't think like there was a huge issue trying to find space to sit and craft or just like hang out and chat to people. Also at lunchtime, I saw quite a lot of people hanging out at the park, just crafting and eating. Now the part I'm sure everyone is actually here for is the shopping. The main shopping hall was located on level 1, and I have to say it was a good space. It was well lit. There was a lot of ventilation, it felt, as I was walking around. It definitely didn't have that crowd crush feel. My friend and I spent a good half day browsing through all of the yarn, and we were definitely getting a really good feel of the Australian yarn sellers, which stores we actually really like in person. A lot of sellers we had only really seen online, and it's hard to get an accurate feel for color and texture online. We also found some new favorite shops, like Daffodil Road Yarn, Great Southern Yarn, Maximu Yarns, and VK Yarns. And honestly, I could go on forever. I think really smartly, there was also a couple of yarn stalls that were set outside of the main hall. So when it was feeling a little bit too chaotic and hectic in the main area, we just like made our way outside and browsed those for a bit. Saturday was the busiest day and it was definitely a little bit hectic inside of the main hall, but it was still very easy to navigate. But you know, if you don't like crowds, I would say the afternoon slot was definitely a lot more chill, and Sunday morning, you could have the run of the place. The market hall area was fantastic. 10 out of 10. I have no complaints there. It was really well done, which is exactly what you want from a yarn show. Let's talk amenities. There were plenty of bathrooms and they were well kept through the entire weekend. There was also a tea and coffee station and a place to refill your water bottle, which I know as a parent of a small kid, you have to know where you can refill a water bottle from. Kind of where it lacked was places to eat. We stayed in the area and at night there was definitely more options, but lunchtime, Saturday and Sunday, options were definitely limited. You either had the hotel restaurant or there was a cafe across the road called Maple and Clove. We opted for Maple and Clove after another attendee told us like it was the place to go for lunch. And they weren't wrong either. This was my chicken taco with puffed rice and it was next level. Now let's get onto my mini haul because I did not leave empty-handed. Something I kind of struggle with is finding like really good bag bases. So when I saw these at the fancy yarn stall, I was like, I have to buy them. 2 bag bases and a strap. Now I spent the entire weekend trying to find really nice colored yarn and don't fear, I found it. So it is this pink dragon fruit colorway yarn from Daffodil Road hand-dyed yarns. I actually think this is the perfect color for me and I am planning on making a shrug. I also got a cross stitch kit from Yazzy's Yarn. It's to cross stitch on these wooden heart bases and I thought this would be the perfect activity to do with my daughter. And I get some little cute threads. I also got some really cute stitch markers from them as well. Even though they are wooden, they're actually pretty lightweight. And I think they're just super cute. And the last thing that I got at the end of the show was a lucky dip from VK Yarns. So I got this really cute hand-dyed yarn in Mango Smoothie. It also came with this really cute stitch marker that my daughter has already claimed, a tea, and a cute little sticker. They also had a kids version of this that I bought for my daughter as well. And that was everything that I bought. I have definitely been finding it harder now to just buy yarn since doing a no-buy year, but my friend Johanna who came with me, she was definitely hyping me up and trying to find me patterns so that I was kind of more in a buying mood. And like, thank God she did because otherwise I would have left empty-handed and that would have been so sad. There was also just so much great yarn. Like the decision fatigue was real. I definitely found this event inspiring. I really enjoyed the crochet talk by Jenny King. It actually made me feel like I could become a crochet designer if I wanted to. Like she was just very happy, bubbly. She brought the kind of energy that I needed to believe that like I could actually do something like this, which is saying a lot because I feel like sometimes in this craft, people kind of gatekeep a little bit, but Jenny's a queen, honestly the GOAT. I also really liked these jumpers that were in the main haul and they're kind of convincing me that I need to start knitting again. But like, just look at these details. Oof, so cute. Or even just make like a crochet kind of version of this or do a crochet take on this myself. Like there was just a lot of inspiration all around the entire weekend, which was great. I want to acknowledge that this event is only in its 3rd year, but from what I had heard from people who attended previous years, it has actually come quite a long way. So it did sound like the organizers are trying to actively make this event as good as it can be with the space that they have. Like really, any of my criticisms are just aimed at the venue, which they could definitely upgrade and expand upon. I actually think this event has probably outgrown its space almost. And I just don't think that the hotel was ready for this many enthusiastic yarn crafters, which is actually really amazing for something that's only in its 3rd year. Overall, I had a really nice time at the Australian Yarn Show and I am definitely going to be there next year. And I'd love to know if you went this year, what were your thoughts on it? Did you do any workshops? Did you find some amazing yarn? Give me the tea in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Bye besties!